Waking up is not about adding anything to your experience. Waking up is not about anything disappearing from your experience. Waking up is your experience right now, exactly as it is. All aspects of it. The subtle and the gross. All sensations. All sounds. All thoughts. All movements. That sum total is enlightenment. Right now. That's it. Very simple. Also, this process of self-reflection that seems to filter that out, that seems to be the project of seeking a future, seeking respite, seeking relief, itself is also enlightenment. It is just this. So what do we do about this? Do we just stop there and say, well, everything's already enlightenment. There's no work to do. There's nothing to find. There's no, or even worse, there's no one to do the work. There's no one to inquire. That'd be fine if you want to do that. The downside to that is it's inauthentic because it's not your experience. If your experience is that there is someone there, there's someone that feels threatened, that feels shameful, that feels like they need to complete something, that feels like the seeking that never ends isn't even something they're in control of. The feeling of being separate from everything, from your environment, even from your own internal experience. If that's what's happening, if that's what's there, that is perfectly okay. That is enlightenment. And it also should be acknowledged for full authenticity, full vulnerability. Because if it isn't, then what we do is we kind of start building layers of distancing, layers of identity. These layers of identity are built out of those fundamental misperceptions of separation or distance or time in which seeking can occur. And those layers, even though they're built out of those simple misperceptions, become rather thick and solidified. In fact, this is where we usually find ourselves. We find ourselves in this heavy shell of layered identities based on past memories, beliefs, traumas. And a lot of it is built out of not looking, not seeing, not feeling, avoiding. So why is that a problem? Well, in and of itself, in the grand scheme, it's not really. But the side effects of it are that we often do unconscious things to ourselves and others. We harm ourselves and we harm others because we're not conscious, we're not fully present. So the conditioning, which is these layers of delusion built out of these misperceptions, the conditioning starts running the show. The more we feel like we're in control, the less we are in control. The extreme experiences that define this would be like addiction. Addiction feels like that, right? It feels like there's this control mechanism driving it somehow. And yet we also feel very out of control. That's what the addiction is. So this like two sides of the same coin, control and loss of control, that we can't stop being obsessed with, right? That's like an addiction. Well, that's going on all the time, even if it's not funneled into something self-destructive like a substance or whatever. It's going on all the time. And that is the addiction to hide and seek, right? Hide the truth from ourselves that everything is fundamentally okay. Why would we hide that truth from ourselves? Well, we wouldn't purposely, but again, we do it through layer after layer of misperception and then delusion. But we hide this truth from ourselves that things are fundamentally okay, that we are fundamentally okay. And we all know it at some level. But then what we do is we seek a solution that's not needed. But we don't tell ourselves it's not needed. We believe that that solution is going to finally make us feel better, right? That's the lie we tell ourselves, that we need to finally feel better. We need to finally arrive somewhere. So we just keep telling ourselves these stories of the future, later when I'm healed, later when I feel better, later when I get whatever I think I need to get. That hide and seek game we're playing all the time. And the thing about it is, even though that is just what's happening, and it is, it's part of what's happening. It has this signature of numbing. It feels numb. It feels distanced. It feels contracted and closed and apart from, very isolated. Maybe isolated is the key descriptor, because we feel very isolated when we're in that world. And as you can see, when you're identified with that whole system, there's nothing you can do. Anything you do is just kind of reinforcing the sense of isolation. All the seeking, all the hoping, all the wishing, all the efforting is just underpinning and underscoring that sense that I am separate, something's wrong with me, and I need to work really, really hard to fix that problem. It's a miserable place to be. But you can see how it's just built out of layers of misperception, layers of avoidance, layers of not looking, not seeing. So this, if you understand this problem, understand meaning you've become aware of why you're uncomfortable. First of all, you have to become aware of that you are uncomfortable. And then you start to look into, why the heck am I so uncomfortable? And you see it. You see these misperceptions, these delusions, and then it kind of becomes almost like voluntary. We voluntarily go unconscious, right? As we do this, we feel more and more distanced from life, more and more distanced from our naturalness, from our innocence. And we can see that is all built out of shadow material. Shadow material not being some bad substance, some evil substance that snuck into our life, but it's just the residue of not looking, the residue of looking away, the residue of avoidance, the residue of not looking clearly and closely at what's happening, and the residue of not wanting to feel things fully and directly. So that residue becomes shadow. And because of our identity structure built out of avoidance, built out of delusion, built out of misperception, is always looking for something that's not here, then it always casts a shadow. So not only do we have a lot of shadow that we haven't examined, we're kind of creating it as we go. So the decision to do shadow work in your life, to take it on, to take it up, to confront the shadow, to dispel the shadow. The decision to do that is a mark of maturity, whether it's inside the spectrum of awakening and insight around awakening, realization, and so forth, or whether it's outside of that. Inside or outside doesn't matter. You'll have to take this up at some point to really get under the suffering. But it's a big shift in orientation, in priority in life, when you finally decide, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start working on that shadow material, because I can see what it does when I don't, and I can see where it could lead, or maybe where it has led. And so you're in a good place if you've taken up that challenge with yourself. And you can't take it up with anyone else, really. There are allies, of course. There are facilitators, there are processes. There more and more of these are becoming available to do shadow work, which is great. But you really have to do the work. You always will have to do the work. You'll have to acknowledge that you need to do the work, and you'll have to do it. And how you do it is going to vary a lot. But that you want to do it and that you're willing to do it is really on you. And it's great once you're ready and just willing to see whatever's in there and deal with it and feel it. And a lot of it is just feeling. A lot of it is feeling fear feeling fear, feeling anger, feeling shame, feeling the things that have been not felt. A lot of it is that. And then a lot of it is exploration, a willingness to just see what's there. What beliefs have led me to where I am? What beliefs have chronically caused me to loop? What beliefs have helped me to overlook the shadow or bury things? So investigating all of this is really what shadow work is. The couple pieces of advice I can give when you've taken up the shadow work journey, let's say, which is parallel to the awakening journey and it's intertwined with it. And at some point in deeper realization in the awakening journey, you will have to do shadow work. And if you avoid it, you'll get weird. You'll get railroaded. The insight can still be there, and yet you'll just be going in circles, creating the same problems and falling into the same traps you always have. So you'll have to do it at some point. But a couple of simple orientations I want to give you around this. Number one is approach the whole thing with curiosity and innocence. Realize that no matter how dark that shadow is, no matter what you've been through, what you've done, harm you've caused yourself or others, or just how much shame you feel, or how much fear you feel, or how much unwillingness you have to feel fear or anger, no matter how much of that is there or accumulated or how daunting it is, the truth of it is, underneath it all, you're innocent. You innocently went unconscious. It's just how we all did. It's innocent. So you can regain that innocence instantly by acknowledging that it's time to do the shadow work. There's shadow that needs to be seen. And then the other side of that innocence, or I should say, let me say it differently. The defining quality of the innocent one, that child, the innocent child in there, is curiosity. Just become curious. Take this up as a simple act of acceptance, love, and curiosity of everything that's inside of you, and that will take you so far. There'll be times it won't be easy. There'll be times when you're feeling massive self-judgment and massive self-hatred and anger and frustration and resentment towards others and guilt and shame, and you'll be feeling all these intense emotions. But you can still bring into it a modicum of curiosity. What does it feel like to feel rage? Man, that's intense. What does it feel like to feel shame? I just want to curl up into a ball and die, or I just want to disappear, right? But you can have that curiosity. That's what it feels like. It's a feeling. It's a sensation. And it also has some narratives around it. But with the curiosity and the innocence as an approach, you realize all you can do, you can't go back and change the past. You just can't do it. It's impossible. But you can come to a place of honesty and integrity with the present, with what you're feeling now, with what's being experienced now, with what you've buried and what it feels like when it comes to the surface, with beliefs that may still be operating and affecting your behavior right now. You can look at that. It's all you can do, really. So there is an innocence and a simplicity to all of this. And curiosity is the attunement. Let's call it the emotion of attunement. I'm not sure if it's even emotion. It's more like it's like a natural openness, I suppose. But if you need an attunement, that's the attunement, is curiosity. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to say is about this is be patient. It can feel like when you start doing shadow work, when you like open these floodgates, it can be surprising how much is in there, how much comes forward, how much intensity, how much emotion. But it's okay. Just let it come through. It's okay. And know that it's not going to go away overnight. It's going to take some time, but that's okay. It'll come and go for a while. Be patient. Patience is a sort of outgrowth of that innocence that, the innocent child doesn't think in terms of time. It's just working with what's there, feeling with what's there, exploring with what's there, remaining curious, and just be patient. We can get so up in our head about, I want to get to the end of something. I want to get to the conclusion. I want to get past this. there's no getting past anything. You don't need to get past anything. Just stay with what's here and you'll be fine. And the last thing I want to say is look for your allies. Look for your allies. They're around. I put more and more of this shadow material and resources online with the videos and with the lives I do, referring to others, referring to processes. But there are many processes out there now that you can look into. EMDR, IFS, PSIP, trauma therapy. There are several trauma processes, psychedelic assisted therapies, medicines like ibogaine, iboga, and then deep shadow process, circling, like I talk about with the InsideCircle.org group. That's very, very potent stuff. Some of the best I've ever seen. But there's more and more of this that's on offer. Just look around. So look for your allies, whether that ally is a medicine or another person, a group. But make sure it's getting to the root. Make sure it's getting the work done. So you gotta vet a little bit what you get involved in, because there are some blind leading the blind situations out there. People who aren't necessarily fully, they haven't done their own work and they're trying to help others do work. So you got to watch for that a little bit, but there are many, many resources out there now who are, that are very helpful, can really help you get to the root of this. And a lot of this really is also just finding your own way, finding your own way with the help, finding your own way with the resources, finding your own way with your own internal process, with your own way of inquiring, and your own way into your own emotion body and feeling, which in the end, it really comes down to 90% of this, 95% of this is really just sensation, feeling, and emotion. So with those three factors, shadow work doesn't have to be impossible and opaque and confusing and all of it. There will be some of that, but it's definitely not insurmountable.